Ladies and gentlemen, cultivating adaptive leaders, lifelong learning for sustainable success. As our topic today resonates deeply with the future of higher education and beyond, Mahatma Gandhi wisely said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever." Today we are here to celebrate exactly that spirit, a commitment to learning that lasts a lifetime and the ability to adapt as the world transforms. This is the second of the AKEPT Let's Talk About webinar series. Assalamu alaikum and greetings wherever you are in the world. Today's webinar is brought to you by AKEPT, the Higher Education Leadership Academy Malaysia, USIM University Science Islam Malaysia, Simeo Raihead Regional Center for Higher Education and Development under the Southeast Asian Ministers of Education Organization. A very warm welcome to everyone tuning in today. I am Dr. Nur Hidayah Azman, and I am truly honored to be your host for today's session. AKEPT's Let's Talk About, or LTA, is a platform launched in May 2024 to facilitate discussions on leadership in higher education. Its key objectives include providing a space for leaders to share experiences, addressing challenges such as technology integration and social changes, and expanding networks across ASEAN countries. LTA offers practical guidance that leaders can apply in real-world settings. Its key impact is to ultimately contribute to building a more inclusive, competitive, and future-ready higher education sector. Now, before we begin, a few quick notes. We are broadcasting live to you from YouTube on USIM TV's channel. So if you're on YouTube, hello, thank you for joining us today. We're also on Facebook via AKEPT Malaysia. So we're also on Facebook. So please feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. Tell us where you're from. And should you have any questions for any of our distinguished speakers, you may post them in the chat box and we will address them during the Q&A session just in a bit. Most importantly, do watch out for the registration form and the feedback form. Links will be distributed in the chat box. If you would like certificates of attendance, then please fill in both forms. So I repeat, fill in both the registration and the feedback forms and you will get your certificates. So that is the end for the housekeeping. So let me move on straight to today's topic, which is cultivating adaptive leaders, lifelong learning for sustainable success. So today we are very privileged to have an exceptional lineup of distinguished panelists, each of whom brings deep expertise and insights from various corners of the globe. Our first speaker is Dr. Seamus Otuma, Director of ACE, Center for Adult Continuing Education and Chair of Assam Lifelong Learning Hub, University College Cork, Ireland. A global advocate for lifelong learning, Dr. Seamus brings a wealth of research and leadership into our conversation today. Dr. Shakir Hussein Khalid is our second speaker. He is the Managing Director of the Shamawar Group of Companies, Malaysia. Dr. Shakir exemplifies the entrepreneurial spirit of adaptive leadership in action across industries. Our third speaker is Dr. Laureen Chua Garcia, Technical Committee Expert on Transnational Higher Education at the Commission on Higher Education Philippines. Dr. Laureen's expertise in higher education policy provides valuable perspectives on academic leadership across borders. And last but not least is our fourth panelist, Dr. Nur Aliyah Karen Abdullah, Group CEO Dialysis, Life Care International Medical Group Malaysia, a dynamic healthcare leader, Datuk Nur Alia's experience highlights how adaptive leadership is critical in healthcare and social enterprises. So we've got an exciting lineup for today. Let's take this opportunity to learn, exchange ideas, and envision the future of leadership and lifelong learning together. So please allow me to introduce our moderator. We have got Professor Datuk Dr. Zulkifli Abdul Ghani, a professor at University Science Islam Malaysia. He previously served as USIM's Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and International, and was a visiting professor at the Istanbul Rumeli University. He earned his PhD from the University of Edinburgh and has completed leadership training programs at the University of Cambridge. So without further ado, please let us embark on today's journey. I am very pleased to welcome the very highly respected Professor Datuk Dr. Zulkifli to kick off today's session. Over to you, Datuk.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, and very good day to everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Nur Hidayah, for a very nice and brief introduction. So our distinguished panelists and also honorable guests and participants. So I need again to mention, just call me Prof. Zul. Okay. I'm actually very glad to be given this opportunity to be a moderator for this, I think, important and timely. So first of all, I think I would like to welcome everyone again to this webinar series organized by AKEPT, USIM, and also Siamo Rihad. And as mentioned by Dr. Nur Hidayah, so our topics today is cultivating adaptive leaders, lifelong learning for sustainable success. So there are three, I think, main phrases here. One is on the cultivating adaptive leader, and the second one is on the lifelong learning, and of course the third one is sustainable success. So I think every one of us, I think, aware we are living in the world marked by constant change and also I think uncertain and also a lot of disruption. So that's why to ensure leaders today be in the field of higher education or in a business organization or even the government agency or political entity. So all I think need what we need is one character that's agile as well as I think adaptive. So that is our focus today, and I think all of us know that every one of us is a leader, and the higher rank of the leader means the higher responsibilities entrusted to them. So before we proceed, I think I will briefly introduce, add more from what Dr. Hidayah mentioned. We have very prominent speakers. The first one, Dr. Siamos Otuama. Dr. Siamos from Ireland. We are great having you today. And Dr. Siamos, he is a senior lecturer in politics at University College Cork, Ireland, and also a chair for ASIM, Education and Research Hub for Lifelong Learning. Dr. Siamos also is on UNESCO Institute for Lifelong Learning, and he is also a member of GLLIC. I think a lot more very experienced speakers to talk about lifelong learning. So welcome, Dr. Siamos. Okay, you can unmute Dr. Siamos.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. It's a great honor and privilege to be here.
Okay, so introduce our second speaker, Dr. Shakir Hussein Khalid. Welcome, Dr. Shakir. Dr. Shakir actually is alumni of USIN. We are very proud of you,
yes,
Dr. Shakir.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, a bit background of Dr. Shakir. He earned a degree from Al-Azhar University and also University Malaya. One of the, I think, accomplished entrepreneur. He is a managing director of Shamawa Group, Sendirian Berhad. So actually, how many companies under Shamawa Group, Dr. Shakir?
We have 7 companies altogether in different background. We are mostly in utility businesses, from electrical, telecommunication, digital, and system integration.
Okay, so thank you very much. I continue with third speakers, Dr. Laurin Chua Garcia. How are you, Dr. Laurin? Unmute, please, Dr. Laurin.
Sorry. Thank you for the greeting. Assalamualaikum to my brothers and sisters in Malaysia. You have a wonderful country. I consider it my second home, actually.
Okay, so Dr. Laurin is a technical committee expert on transnational higher education, Commission on Higher Education Philippines, and Dr. Laurin has over 40 years of experience in academia, while managing a corporate presence as head of Picasso Management Group. I think interesting background. And I move to the last one, Dato Dr. Nur Alia Karin Abdullah. So Dato Nur Alia, how are you today?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you. Assalamualaikum, Prof. And Dr. Shakir, as well as Dr. Hidayah. And hi to Dr. Seamus and also Dr. Laurin. And it's glad to be here.
Okay. So as mentioned, Dato Nur Alia is a group CEO, Dialysis Life Care International Medical Group Malaysia, and currently supervising for the setup of nephrology and urology private hospital. Is it right? Okay, so thank you very much, and welcome to all of our speakers and also participants. So let's, I think, start our discussion. So I will divide into 4 parts. So the first, we will focus on key traits for adaptive leader. And I think all of us are aware that adaptive leadership is actually a style or a technique beneficial actually for managing organization at this time. The very, I think, evolving for quick changing, not just in the business world, but also I think in various sectors, including higher education, including I think not just business, but also managing a company. and government agencies. So actually, because of this uncertainty, the challenges require leaders to adapt and navigate and also adjust for adaptive approach. So to start with, I think I start with Dr. Siamos because you have a very wide experience in lifelong learning. So maybe you can share based on your experience, what is the key traits for the leaders to adapt at this time, especially in the crisis and also rapid changes. Over to you, Dr. Siamos.
Okay, thank you very much, and thanks for your nice introduction. And it's a great honor and privilege to be here with such a distinguished panel. I think maybe the first thing we should bear in mind is we should not be overwhelmed. Of course, it's a time of change, rapid change, many things happening, and in many ways maybe changing more rapidly now than other times in human history. But I think to begin with, maybe we could reflect on how people in sporting arenas can deal with rapid change, because in team sports, things are changing all the time. And you hear quite frequently in commentary and analysis on fast-moving sports is that the leaders on the field are able to slow down time. They don't actually slow down time, but they have a capacity to reflect on the conditions and to not get overwhelmed by all the change and all the rapid activities that are happening around them. So maybe in a time of rapid change, this might not be a bad place to start and think about how do these sporting personalities do it. And this is a key aspect. I would say we also, from a lifelong learning perspective, we speak a lot about cognitive flexibility, the capacity to understand and know the world in different ways. And that means that we have to be open to seeing the world in new ways, in novel ways. So we need to be able to escape from the conventions or our own ways of thinking, and to be able to think and see the world in new and different ways. We also need to be open to hear from others, and I think that was very instructive what you said at the beginning, that we are all leaders, and we are all leaders. We are all followers as well. We are all experts at some points in our lives, in our daily lives, and in other aspects of our daily lives, we are just ordinary individuals. So we are lay people. So we fill very many roles. We're constantly changing. We're constantly moving. And we have to be open to listening to others. And I think a critical aspect is to be able to acknowledge and accept other strong leaders. We shouldn't think or imagine that we know everything, that we can do everything ourselves. We need to be able to acknowledge others. And we need to be able to follow. I think great leaders have to be able to follow. They have to be able to see trends. They have to acknowledge their own limitations. I think maybe in our minds, we often think about leaders as, these strong, infallible individuals who know everything and so on and so forth. And of course, the best leaders aren't like that. And it was interesting that you mentioned Mahatma Gandhi in your introduction as well, saying live today as if it's, your last day, but learn as if you're going to live forever. I'm sure I've not given the quote exactly, but I think that's important. I think there's a temptation for people to imagine that they have reached a certain point in their lives where they know an awful lot about things, and they maybe present themselves as experts, and they don't need to learn or know new things. And I think that would be a really, really damaging thing for you as a person, but also as a leader. As a leader, you constantly need to be engaging with change, understanding shifting cultures, being open to different ideas, different methodologies, different approaches. Be prepared to let go of maybe some of your strongest values, let go of your great achievements, and be prepared to embrace every day as a new day. So maybe that would be a beginning point from me.
From you, I think I move to Dato' Shakir. I think Dato' Shakir very familiar with the phrase in Arabic, minal from the cradle to the grave. You know the phrases in Islamic studies, and then also now as a business person. So maybe I think adaptive leadership always deal with the complex problem. And if let's say you take, for example, the issue with tariff, for example, I think how you deal, how you understand about adaptive leaders and how to deal with that, Dato' Shakir.
Thank you, Dr. Zul. I really appreciate to have this session with all the distinguished panelists. The first question that being asked is about the key threats of any adaptive leaders when we overcome with a crisis. I think this is a very crucial question that need to be answered carefully, because to me it is not something easy. Managing things during a normal condition is okay. I think everybody are able to do it. But when you have a crisis, this is something that very crucial and critical. And I'm dividing this into two things. One, the way that I look at it at the leader itself, because not all leaders are able to adapt with the situation in crisis. Certain leaders, they are panicking. Certain leaders, they don't know what to do. Certain leaders, they might not have facing this kind of experience before. It's the first time, like just COVID-19, when this happened. Everybody in the shock. We don't know what to expect and how long is that going to be. So I'm dividing into these two things. First of all, intrapersonal, which is related to the leaders itself. I mean, as Dr. Simos is mentioning about flexibility. So in order to have this flexibility, the intrapersonal itself must come from the leader itself. Means that when you face with the crisis, first of all, you got to be calm. This is what I call it. You have to be calm. Take a deep breath. Please ensure that your head on the shoulders, your feet on the ground. This is what I call it. Check back where you are. And then you have to ensure that you are basically having passion into it, reciting whatever dua that needed, because we need the strength. This is why you balance up between your IQ, your SQ, your EQ, and plus all the other 3Q. We have 6 Qs altogether. Social quotient, adversity quotient, cultural quotient. This is why you have to strike a balance between you yourself as intrapersonal skills. You must obtain all this before you start moving forward. That's number one. Number two is about when you control this intrapersonal, then you have the interpersonal. Interpersonal means you are basically very much to control the situation, to prove to your followers or to your team that, sorry, I have a disturbance here, that you must be able to prove to them that you have this confidence level. The crisis is there, yes. But if the leaders is not sure what to do, then the followers or the other members of your organization are going to be mad. They are going to be panicked. They don't know what to do because they need leaders. They need you to show an example. So in short, when I'm talking about, I fully agree, there is so many characteristics of key traits that need to be have with this leadership, with the leaders, adaptive leaders. But the main point here, it should be like primary characteristic like flexibility, empathy, innovation, long-term vision, resilience, as well as emotional intelligence. But I'm focusing very much on flexibility because to me, this flexibility is actually what keeps you going. If you're so rigid about situation and you're so afraid about changes, then those things might get you stuck. You might not move because you're not flexible enough. The other question that we have to check, Dr. Zul, is about what is the boundary of flexibility? Because flexibility can be good for you, can be bad as well. So there must be a clear boundary for you to make a proper decision at what limit that flexibility going to take place. So that decision can be made. Your members of the organization feel like they are being guided. They know that you are actually with them, and they also aware about the situation that they are facing. So those flexibility will make things happen accordingly as per time limit to achieve the objective goal. So this is how I look at it.
Okay.
Pre-adapters leader, basically we don't very much waiting for the crisis to be happen, because adapters leaders is forecasting, projecting, and anticipate the crisis will happen.
Okay, so I take your point, Dr. Shakir. The most important thing is don't be panic when we face with a very, very complex problem. So I move to Dr. Lauren, the same question, but I think if you can give your views on how do we actually build the system for adaptive leaders, and based on a system, we can actually support adaptive learning as well as the growth. Yeah, Dr. Lauren.
Okay, that's a combination question. Okay. Actually, the first thing that comes to mind is thinking outside the box. So I'd like to echo what Dr. Seamus actually said earlier about letting go. Because when you create a system, you have to let go of the old practices, the old ways of doing things. And I actually have a pet peeve. Like some companies and even schools, they have this 20-year program. I think the pandemic destroyed that. It absolutely ruined the 20-year plan because everything happened so fast, right? How could you plan for 20 years when in just a single moment the pandemic occurred? So thinking outside of the box is critical. And you have to think in terms of career development. No matter what type of organization you have, whether it's corporate or it's educational or even government, there has to be a career development plan as part of your existing system. Why? It's how you retain people, it's how you train them. And at every part of their lifespan, whether they're a new employee, a mid career level, or someone in their senior years, and or even, okay, you have to stop thinking about retirement. There shouldn't be anything called retirement. Why? As people get older, their intellectual capital actually increases. Think archives of a library. It's not forgetfulness. Anyone who's gone to a library knows it takes time to retrieve something from the archives, right? So it takes
Yeah.
you longer to remember that wealth of information you're carrying around. Not to mention your network increases with age and becomes more valuable. You notice that your classmate in elementary school suddenly might be the president of a company or even of the country. So, this whole career development concept is one of the ways that a system could be put in place, not just for retention of people in different spheres, no, of work, but also because it ensures that people are continually trained and the skills that you need, to put into place are there. And then, of course, there's the thing about creativity and innovation. You have to also include that as part of the career development. You have to get people, okay, to innovate and also to create. You have to give them that space. That's very important, okay, because I noticed that some organizations are very, very structured, and that whole thinking outside of the box is not done, okay? And they're so rigid. That's why I love what Dr. Seamus said about letting go. You really have to let go of some old practices that do not work anymore. And of course, with the advent of AI and everything else changing around us, technology wise, definitely you have to start thinking outside of that box that you were in all these years. And of course, communication is very important, because how do you get things done if you're very poor at communication? We're talking about verbal, non-verbal, and even symbolic language. Like for instance, just a simple thing like how we present ourselves. Like when I give talks to some of the universities here, I tell them, will you please stop showing off your walls? It doesn't talk about who you are and what you're doing and what you're good at. So I know you have a wall, it looks gorgeous, but that's about it, right? So communication is crucial also to getting your message across. And it's also part of adaptability because the language changes with each generation. You got to keep up with what the young
Yes, yes.
people are talking about and the
I agree
words
with
that they're using. There's a lot going on out there. So I think that age is relative. And, we keep on talking about inclusion, diversity, and all that. And here we are thinking retirement, thinking young people don't have anything to say. I mean, knowledge and the quest for that should be not appended to the concept of age because a young person can be very wise and an older person shouldn't be retired because they have so much to still give. And I think that at the end of the day, the pandemic taught us that everyone could make a contribution. And I just need to say one last thing. We also need to remember that adaptability also is recognizing there are members of our society that are in need. Like, I'd like to mention at the start of the pandemic, Korea was one of the countries that really adapted so quickly. You know what the government did? They immediately had braille boards sent to all their blind students across the nation. I mean, no other country at that time was that quick to think of that. So it's also about our responsiveness and sensitivity. Okay, that's also part of adaptability. As you adapt to changing conditions around you, you should also be sensitive to the different, stakeholders that are around you. Thank you.
Okay, I echo with you, Dr. Lauren. And I think Dato Noralia, because you, I think, involved in many roundtable discussion, setting up for the future kind of work. So I think how you look at the adaptive leadership. So how they actually can cope with the very complex problem we are living today. Dato.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Having been involved in a couple of different, not just medical, but also with whether it's non-profit or whether it's training, teaching, I've come to realize that, when we talk about adaptive leadership, I think people tend to look at us as leaders and they need to recognize, as well as we recognize, that adaptive leadership is not about us knowing all the answers. We don't have all the answers. So it's about creating this ecosystem. I believe we create an ecosystem where the curiosity, especially now, as we move into the so-called AI world and everything is moving so fast and a lot of changes, that we create this ecosystem where the curiosity allows us to explore. We explore, we try, we fail, we try again, and then we learn to grow. And I think this growth, together with the challenges that we face, is something that we need to open doors to the next generation and the people who are working with us, who we recognize as future leaders. We talk about adaptability, we talk about leadership, and I definitely agree with everything that my co-fellow speakers have said. You talked about flexibility, definitely. I like what Dr. Lawrence said about space. We need to give something called the psychological safe space here, where in a safe space we allow them to take risks, we allow people to take risks, and we realize that there are failures, but I think importantly we also know that this means that there is some innovation going on, and these are opportunities, learning opportunities for everyone, not just those that are our juniors or those who are working with us, but it's also trial and error a lot for us. Yes, we talk about age, we talk about seniority, but I think that there was something that Dr. Seamus said just now that I want to echo with, to say we talk about learning and learning never ends. Definitely. But we also must realize that we are the first people to have to roll our sleeves up and go figure out what is it that we don't know and we need to learn, because we need to lead. So, or we used to say there was a saying that leaders know it all. Today, I say leaders know it all. Leaders have to learn it all over again, right? So we it's a constant move with us. So yes to clear communications, yes to EQ, yes to collaborations. Today I can't work without collaborating. I have to collaborate with so many people, and I'm sure if you're doing business like Dato there, you have to collaborate. There's no way you're going to, whether it's education, today we are collaborating with universities, we're collaborating with each other to bring out the best for this topic. So collaboration, visionary thinking, I think that's something that we all need to understand as we move ahead. One key word that Prof mentioned just now was crisis, and Dr. Lauren was talking about the COVID. And in today's world, we need to think very, very quickly. We need to make decisions fast. So one of the topics that I've been given last year and early this year, many times the training is problem solving, critical thinking. Problem solving, critical thinking. It kept me asking, are we that bad in problem solving? And is it that we cannot think critically? That was, the question that I was playing with, because companies after companies kept saying, problem solving, critical thinking, problem solving, critical thinking. I wish I could use the same set of slides and share with everybody. Unfortunately, I couldn't. But feedback loops, I think these are some things that we understand today we need to have. And above all, I think empowerment, we need to just allow the people, yes, as much as we want to be not so rigid, we need to give space for empowerment so that we have growth. So I think, Prof, I think I covered quite a bit, touching, of course, on everybody else. I just added for you a little bit more, but honestly we don't know it all.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Alia. So I can actually raise certain character traits, very important for adaptive leadership style. It means we need to be flexible, and as mentioned by Dr. Shake, also involve the intelligent part. Internal and external, and then also I think many other traits related to creating ecosystem, the right ecosystem, and also good in the communication skill. So I move to the second part of our discussion. Actually, we want to connect between the the traits which the skill that we need to have today. We are talking about people management skill, personal qualities, and also the technical expertise. That's the leader require to be effective leaders in the workplace. So I think back to you, Dr. Siamus, for example, here, how I think can leaders effectively foster a culture of continuous learning within their organization? So please, Dr. Siamus.
Foster a culture of learning is to demonstrate to everybody that you need to learn yourself and to continue learning yourself. I don't think you're going to develop a very good culture if the assumption is that other people need to learn and you don't need to learn yourself. And I see this quite a lot in organizations, kind of a top-down version of who needs to learn and why they need to learn. And I think it's a very destructive culture. So it shouldn't just be for certain people to learn, it should be for all of us to learn. And it was interesting, our colleagues were talking about things like mistakes and things like this, and we make mistakes. And of course, we learn a lot from mistakes. And I think it's important that we learn from mistakes. And I think it's important that we give people the space to acknowledge that a mistake was made, or the things were less than optimal, and what can we learn from this, and how can we move forward from where we are now. Also, I think in terms of leadership, in terms of what we can learn and what we can know, very often I think people get a little bit confused about what it is they're trying to solve. And sometimes they're coming up with solutions without fully understanding what the problem is. And I thought it was really interesting the mention of COVID there as an example, and maybe what happened in Korea in terms of them figuring out what it needs to be done and solving the problem. And I think this is very, very important in terms of giving people the analytical skills and I suppose the confidence and courage to say, well, is this really the problem we're trying to solve? What is the problem we're trying to solve? What is the situation? Where are we trying to get to? Where is the better place we're trying to get to? Because I think we can very often get bogged down in creating solutions that are not really addressing the issues or the problems that we're trying to solve. So from that point of view, I think if there's one critical thing I would like us to all collectively to learn is to be able to identify what it is we're trying to solve.
Okay, so learn from the mistake, learn and relearn, and also sometimes unlearn from the previous one. So Dr. Shake, actually continuous training in your experience, for example, dealing with the business networks. So how actually you foster the culture, especially for 7 companies under your group?
Thank you, Tozo. Well, I think it's not really an easy thing to do, because I believe when we talk about leader effectively foster a culture, means that the leader itself must have a specific strength. I call it the continuity of pushing hard in order for knowledge to be spreaded among his members in his organization. Sometimes it can be a slogan, but to live with it, to continue with it, and to ensure that the result can be obtained in a certain period of time, there's really need a motivation for the leader itself to continue with it. So the point is actually to walk the talk is very important. Leaders have to start from himself or herself. It's all started from us. Then what we have to do now, we have to highlight the importance of this continuous learning, because we are facing with so much of tribulation, so much of changing. It's a rapid world changing where everybody need to aware about it. And in order to understand and to overcome those situations is actually by learning. So whether it is a leader, whether it is a member of organization, both of us must have a clear mission and vision. One thing about after COVID, I think most of the business sector, they have so much changes in terms of vision and mission. Things that have been predicted before is no more relevant. New mission, new vision need to be in place. And people change a lot. And then the situation make people feel sometimes upset. The emotion, the situation might need to be renewed all the time. So this is where which I focusing very much on this. There is 5 factors which I emphasize, which I'm thinking this is important for us to fully aware about it. First of all is about the brain that we have. We have a brain, but there's so many limitations because of the brain. The brain might have a negative thought where we cannot make things go forward because of the brain. And it's all inside us. So if you change our brain by having positive thinking, we can spread those positive feelings to all the people around us. Number 2 is about emotion. Situation is very uncertain, and emotion can be upset down at any situation at any time. So to control the emotion, to ensure that our emotion is stable at any situation where people can rely on us, people can refer back to us, and that is crucial and important. How to stabilize the emotion regardless whatever things happen around you, which is tough because we are human beings. So, but somehow we must have an ability to control the emotion. Number 3 is about attitude. Whether we have a skill, whether we have a performance, we have a knowledge, if those attitude can be changed, and it's all need to be start and change from the leaders itself. It is tough because we have to walk the talk. Most of the time we can talk about it, we can tell the values, we can tell people, we can ask them what to do, but we ourselves having difficulty to make it happen. And number 4, which is I think to me is very critical, is about your spiritual part. You have to connect between your intelligence, your spiritual, your fitness level to be together so that you can have a stamina to move forward with that. I always mention about stamina, continuity, because you can't get everything by night. It's a process. And you have to embrace the values and you have to be with it so that the people with you can follow you as a track path. And number 5, I think this is the last one, last but not least, is about wholehearted sincerity. How sincere we are in getting our members to be more knowledgeable than us, or we have to be with them together, seek the knowledge without non-stop. And why the knowledge is important? Because those knowledge can bring us to somewhere else. If we don't continue with seeking the knowledge, if we remain on what we have might not be relevant anymore. So I think, Dr. Zul, this is all crucial points or critical situation where a leader need to be a type of leader to understand where they are and then embrace the values and then show it to the members and prove it to them that you can do. So follow this track path. If it is not better, it can be good. So I think probably that's how can make things happen and can foster the values into your organization members.
Okay, so very comprehensive, I think, the elaboration from Dr. Shakir. And I think maybe we move to Dr. Lawrence. Actually, based on your over 40 years of experience, I think you can recall a moment, for example, how you actually adapt and based on that process, it means maybe you avoid the failure. Do you have that moment, Dr. Laurentian? Can you share with us?
Actually, times have changed, and I think we should cultivate humility more strongly than ever before. With the advent of technology and changing lifestyles, schools have to realize they're not the only sources of information and knowledge now, right? Kids get information from all over. And of course, with double income families, parents aren't there to supervise kids growing up anymore. So a lot of other sources of information come into play, not to mention how they're being educated. So when the pandemic happened, okay, I noticed that a lot of my colleagues in the internationalization circles were frozen in fear, and I felt very impatient actually, because I wanted things to continue moving, and I said there's still the virtual platform. So I started talking to different partners around the globe and pushing them, let's be active. Okay, let's get over this culture of fear. Let's continue to learn from each other, even if it's just cooking classes. So Indonesia started cooking classes, then Thailand started following on that. We used to just have cooking classes on cable TV, but this time it was on the virtual platform, with different schools organizing, okay, their different students to do the cooking and sharing it with other students in the region. Then Japan stepped up. You know what they did? They had the short courses. Okay, I loved it because it was a race to enroll. Why? They were going to ship you the parts of what you were of the craft that you were going to make, and then on the day of the virtual event itself, you assemble that craft together virtually. And then,
Yeah.
of course, Singapore sent over food packets, and you cooked it and ate it together while someone was explaining what the food was all about. So you see, you have to think humility. I'm not the best that's out there. I want to learn from everybody out there. So I kept on saying thank you to a lot of people for the ideas that were cropping up. And then from Bethlehem University in Palestine, one of my Palestinian students over there opened her cell phone and started walking through the city, showing the marketplace, the holy sites. It was like a virtual tour, okay? And the kids from the Philippines just loved it. So you see, it was thinking outside of the box. It was thinking creativity, innovation. It was about continuing the communication with each other. It was very important that we continued talking to each other. And of course, like I said, the spirit of humility, remembering that we're not the only sources of information, but that the information and knowledge can be shared and can be obtained all around us. So I think that the pandemic showed us education need not be always face to face. it was workable on the virtual platform, and it could be engaging also. But again, going back to what I said earlier about thinking outside of the box, we had to get over that hurdle that people were just so caught up in, face to face being the best option. But with the pandemic, we were forced to adapt. We had to humble ourselves, recreate the culture that we had for education and work.
Yeah, Dr. Lawrence. Okay, I think that based on the same question actually, based on your experience, I think under Talent Corp T50. So maybe you can share with us how you foster a culture of continuous learning. For example, I noticed you try to bring back women for work. Yeah, please, Dr.
Thank you for the question, Prof. Actually, part of T50 in Malaysia is Talent Corp, which is under the Ministry of Human Resources, and I think they're trying very, very hard to do a lot of new things and involving all the sectors, whether they are bringing Malaysian talent back to Malaysia, giving opportunities for women to come back to work, awards, whether they are for human resources, for innovation, for DEI. So we have that as well. And sitting as part of the T50, one of the things that I got involved, or rather was invited to get involved with, is bringing the women back to work, because we have an agenda for 2030 to hit something like 65% of women coming back to work, coming back to the workforce. Currently, it's at about 40%, 35 to 40%. So again, we have to think, I like what Dr. Lawrence said, thinking out of the box. We got to think of innovative ways of how do we get this woman to come back to work. Because one, a few things that we knew when we talked to people about was who's going to take care of their children. That's one. Secondly, will they be able to adapt because they have left the organization, they have left the working world for 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. So that's actually a big step. So identifying the problems was the easiest part. Trying to find solutions to the problems, now that's where we needed to really think and really explore. So we then had to come up and say, okay, are we going to do micro credentialing for these women who want to come back to work? Mentoring session, can we provide mentors so that these women have someone to talk to, or a group of people to talk to get their confidence back, so that when they come back to work they can adapt easily? Can we teach them some skills? Because the past few years, our IT has, changed our way of doing things, and everything is so different from last time, where you had to click 5 buttons to get something printed. And today, you don't even need to print. It basically pops up right onto your phone. You use a phone and you scan. No more going to the fax machine to scan. So these are the things that probably we noticed that if they had a gap of 7 years, 8 years, 9 years not coming back to work, then this was a gap that we needed to help to fill in. And that's where we were talking, about. And I think most importantly, we talked about, creative thinking and also culture for continuous learning. This is actually the perfect example of continuous learning, because these women are not, they are professionals. They are not somebody who who did not work or not educated. They are actually on the higher ranking staff of women who left because they wanted to take care of their families. They had kids, grandkids, or they just did not want to work a full 8-hour job. They wanted flexibility of having to pick the kids up from school at 3 o'clock. Can I work half a day? Previously, this was not made available. Today, we're talking about making the changes to adapt and allow them to embrace new working styles. These are innovative ways, but then again, it brings the best of the resources back to the workforce, contributing to not just for the woman and the family, but to the industry, to the country, globally, right? So I think that's one of the good examples that I can give you, Prof.
Yes, very interesting. The real experience, Dr. Alia. So we move to the third part actually on the still we discuss about continuous learning. It's not just about expand the knowledge, but it's also related to refine the decision making. That's very, very important for a leader. So that's why I think Dr. Siamos, based on your I think very extensive experience. You moving around around the globe actually. So maybe you can share with us a connection between being a leader and at the same time, I think in your expertise, being a lifelong learner. So how you deal with that?
Okay. It would be just interesting just to reflect back what Dr. Noor Ali was just talking about women coming back into the workforce just a moment ago, as an example, because you think about a woman who is taking care of her children, her grandchildren, her family. How many skills does she have to learn? How many different activities does she have to engage in? How much leadership does she have to deploy? And a phenomenal amount, actual fact. So if we wanted to identify lifelong learners who are very, very, very successful, these would be very high on the list of those, but we don't really acknowledge it. We don't give them any credentials for it. And very often when they come back, they say, oh, well, you've been out of the workforce. You've been done nothing for the last 5 years. You've been done nothing for the last 10 years. Whereas in fact, they've been doing some of the most important work we could ever do. So I think that's maybe a starting point. Sometimes we are not very good at identifying and acknowledging what learning is. The one thing that human beings, including all of us here, are constantly doing is learning. We can't ever stop learning. So maybe instead of us focusing too much on telling people to learn, maybe we should focus a little bit more on giving people the wherewithal to acknowledge their own learning, because they are all learning and they are all gaining skills all of the time. And very often they don't realize that they are learning, or they don't have a way of it being acknowledged. So I think that's really, really important. And that includes, that's true of leaders, it's true of everybody. And I think it's very restrictive for us to think that people only learn in certain contexts. We learn all of the time, in all contexts, in all places. And I think if you are going to be a successful leader, then you have to be open to learning in all contexts and all places at all times. I think one of the critical things that I think we need to avoid, and one of the other speakers mentioned this a while back about humility and hubris. We don't know everything. We do need to learn. And I think there's a great danger for leaders to believe their own leadership and say, oh my goodness, I've arrived. I'm a great person. I know everything. And people will tell you that. People tell you how wonderful you are. And I think if you start believing that, you're in trouble. Of course, we're all wonderful human beings. Every human being is amazing. Yeah. They can do incredible things. All of us can. But we would be very foolish to think we were uniquely special and that we don't need to learn. We have to continue to learn. We have to learn from each other. But we also need, and some of the other speakers mentioned this as well, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating, but we need to engage with the world. We need to stay current ourselves. And that means staying current with the culture, understanding how people are thinking today, understanding how young people are thinking, how different people are thinking, what are the new cultural artifacts that are emerging, how do we understand these things, how do we even find out about them, how do we even know about them. In the last few days, I spent a lot of time with one of my children who's an adult, And I can't tell you how many things I've learned. New words, new phrases, new cultural understandings constantly. So, that's really important for me, as to be able to participate in the world. And if I'm a leader, I have to be part of this world, not some kind of previous place, or I can't imagine myself sitting on some kind of elevated place in the world and that I know everything and so on. You mentioned about me traveling around the world, and I've spent a lot of time in Asia, especially in the last number of years. And the one thing I keep telling Europeans when I come back to Europe is it's time for them to learn more about how Asians solve problems. Asians are the most adaptable people I've ever encountered.
Yeah.
Extremely good at identifying problems and solving problems, and doing it in a way in which they can draw on the resources available to them. So, we have a phrase in Ireland about the person who's driving in their car and they get lost in the countryside and they stop somebody for directions, and they say to the person, I want to go get to the next town. And the person says to them, well, I wouldn't start from here. That's no good to you.
Yeah. So, Dr.
Where
thank
we
you
are.
very much.
So we have to acknowledge where we are. So sorry for talking a little bit too long. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for a very positive view on the Asian people, very adaptive actually. And back to you, Dr. Shakir. Actually, if let's say you are not in continuous learning, sometimes I think we are quite stagnant, and also some say we are outdated. So what's your experience on this, Dr.?
Thank you, Prof. This is exactly correct, because you can't be a leader if you're not a lifelong learner. I might be exaggerate a bit, but I really believe in it. Because the more that we know, the more that we know we didn't know. There's there's a lot of things that need to be learned, especially when you are, look, I mean, every decade of life, our hormone change.
Yeah.
Our body change, our thinking change. And we ourselves really need to have understanding of our body, ourselves, so that we can manage things better. The ability need to be exposed and need to be expanded so that you know yourself, you know your organization, and you know what to do with it. Simple things. Continue learning, lifelong learning is about something that you understand yourself better so that you can position yourself at the right situation, at the right time, with the right person. It can cut down waste. You just focus on what is urgent and important. What is not urgent, not important, put it less in your priority so that you won't put everything in the same bowl, because you're going to stuck with it.
Yeah.
Aging can make your energy less, but your wisdom going to be high. Your intellectual level is there. So what you have to do is maximize, capitalize, and synergize all those impact for the benefits of others. Okay, this is a challenge. I remember I read one book about a simple things of humility. One CEO by the name of Douglas R. Conan, he's a CEO of Campbell Soup. In 2001, Campbell Soup having some issues. They are not able to produce a stock level as per required by the market. So that's one thing about CEO of thinking. He's a CEO level. Definitely he got a lot of things in his mind. He's thinking a lot. He find a strategy. Then what he did is a simple move. Just write a note saying thank you to all 16,000 employees that he has. 16,000 employees. Just say thank you. Sometimes we tend to think about a lot of complicated matters. We ignore all those simple values in life. But that's what is leadership all about, where you take all the small things, put up a proper values, and impose it to others. The wonders that this CEO did, within 2 years' time, Campbell Soup able to produce 100% of stock inventory, and they are able to serve all the requirements of their market share. They managed to get it just because of thank you. I believe that it's not only that that principle that you're using, but he must got others. But point is this: we might thinking about all those systems, standards, quality system, and all that, but sometimes we tends to forget what is the thing that related to the human beings. I mean, end of the day, regardless whether we have technology, we have AI, we have so many things there, but end of the day, we have to engage with the person, engage with the people. That's why emotion take place. That's where the love take place. That's where caring take place. That's where empathy take place. So I believe, as a leader, I mean, we are exactly right. It's not the people who are know best. If we claim that we know best, I think that is wrong. It's about how can we position ourselves with the right person at the right time and manage a situation accordingly as per needed by the people inside. I think the rest about it is about when you having a spirit of continually seeking a knowledge, you are going to have more question to ask. The question is very important because whether it's a form of clarification or whether in the form of seeking knowledge, when you have more question to ask, you are basically find a best way in solving whatever polemic, conflicts, or whatever crisis that happen. I mean, the way of approach is going to be better by having more question asked so that you are not guessing, you are not shooting in the dark, you know what you are doing, and end of the day, you are not wasting your energy. Whatever things that you have with a limited resources, you can ensure that by having process of learning, the impact is going to maximum. I think this is very important. I'm very interested on one thing that we sharing by Dr. Alia just now with MPC, Malaysian Productivity Center.
Yeah.
We are pushing very hard to the government, especially nowadays. We have so many retirees at the age of 57, 56. They just left off. They just go back and they say they want to go back to their village and do whatever thing necessary. But I think the most critical part is this: in business industry, hiring a director sitting in the board is not something cheap. Sometimes they have to pay a lot of money to get the directors. So
Yeah.
we propose to MPC, get all the retirees from their various background and experience, do a volunteerism, put themselves to be in the board, and give an opinion and guide the youngsters to be an entrepreneur or to lead them in their business. This is being taken care by MPC, and they are basically now getting all these people proper database retirees with their own field and positioning them into all the SME company or GSC if needed, with a less contribution, with a less amounts of remuneration. It's a part of contribution that they do for the country and for the nation. I think it is crucial for us to understanding that lifelong learner and leadership is very much interrelated, and this thing need to be continue with it, and we have to spur the spirits of it and to get it done so that the word is actually you seeking knowledge from minal mahdi ila lahadi. I
Yes.
think from where you start until you pass away, until God call
Yeah.
you back. That's how I
Yeah.
look at it. Thank you, Dr.
Yes,
Sabri.
very, very informative, Dato' Shakir. I think I moved to the last part, Dr. Lauren. Actually, we are talking a lot about having experience. For example, to prepare for this talk, I think maybe all of us are using AI. And I think that's a tool give a lot of benefit to us. So maybe Dr. Lawrence, if you can share with us, for example, what you predict actually in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah. What kind of learning tools that will influence the leader in the learning process? So, any sharing, Dr. Lawrence?
First of all, I believe that a true leader is a student of life and does not stop learning. Okay, so I read everything. Okay, I even read manga. Okay, I I try to keep up. I try to keep up with what kids are reading, what they're doing, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. Okay, so the movies. So I consume as much media that's available out there, so that I'm able to understand what people are consuming, what they're watching, what they find interesting. And at the end of the day, um, okay, I feel that you know, you must be a student of life, and you can't really stop learning if you're serious about, leading others also. And when I walk into a classroom or when I walk into a training room, my attitude always is, I'm here, you know, to share with you, but I'm here also to learn from you.
Okay, Dr. Lawrence, if you can touch a bit on AI, Dr. Lawrence.
I I didn't quite catch that.
Really, I mentioned about using artificial intelligence for continuous learning. Yeah.
Okay. I noticed that different people react to technology differently, right? So some people use it, okay, to cheat. And we're not just talking about students, but also faculty. That's how they churn out their research much faster. They know how to turn it in already. So AI could be both a help as well as a curse. So it goes back to values and attitude that you bring to the workplace. So I had the opportunity to hear actually one of the world's foremost AI and robotics expert, Dr. Marcelo Ang from NUS. And I remember there was a question that was posed to him by the audience at that conference about the fear that AI would replace human beings, robots also would replace. And, he said something like, no, because he said that people will always be the ones creating the machines, and they will always be the ones, telling the machines what to do. So for us who are embracing technology, it's about understanding what that technology brings to the table. And at the same time, how do we talk about data privacy? How do we talk about, ethics in the use of such technology? So like I mentioned earlier, um, like the cell phone is a great tool. It's
Yeah.
technology, and it's AI also. Like anyone who has an iPhone knows Siri suddenly takes over conversations, right? So it could get very, very messy at some point when you don't understand the technology, and of course when you misuse it. So I think the pressure is on not just the use of the technology and learning how to make it work for you, but it's also how to embed the values and ethics that are very, very crucial to the use of technology. So,
Yeah.
a simple cell phone alone being used in the classroom, like I mentioned that Bethlehem University student walking through their Bethlehem, um, that's okay. But when that phone is used to spy on other people, I think then we have a problem. So I think that the burden is really on not so much learning the technology, but being very careful that the technology is not abused.
Okay. So I think we are already 72 minutes actually in this session. I think I'm going to the last speakers before we allow for Q&A session after this. So Dato Noralia, I think you involved in creating or discussing on the future kind of work. And when we are talking about AI, it will change a lot. So for the next 5 to 10 years, how you predict that leaders need to learn from AI tools?
My first lesson, and to everyone else, is don't compete with AI. You're not going to win. So I think you just need to amplify the human potential, right? And we can't predict the future. So you need to be agile enough to understand, like hey guys, this is AI, this is what's the latest. Like it or not, if I want something to be done faster, I'll need to know how to do it. Right? So if I need to get in from an A to a B, I need to understand how to get to A, B the fastest way. And if I need to follow 3 simple steps and learn something new, I'll need to follow 3 simple steps and learn something new. I don't think we have much debate on this okay, let's hold back, let's wait, because as much as you say 5 to 10 years, AI is already here, right? So we are actually trying to chase. The world is getting tougher. We need to get stronger in the sense that we just need to understand that this is not going to go away. In fact, it's going to get, even if you want to say a little bit more complex, it could be depending on the area and the industry. For me, in the medical line of work that I do, AI is huge because we're talking about robotic surgeries currently. We're talking about data management, looking at numbers, churning out and making predictions, from everything, from how much you buy to what do you do to patient matters to, and today doctors look at simple things like blood test results, then the latest type, and you can predict and say, the next time you do a blood test, you might actually see that you have cancer. Things have reached up to that extent. So to me, I don't even want to go down 5 to 10 years. My advice would be, don't compete with AI, be agile, be flexible, look at whatever that's happening around you in your own area. We can't be the best in everything that we do. We can't catch up. We don't have that much of time. Neither do we have so much of resources. Even if you constantly read like Dr. Lauren, I think you won't be able to catch up with everything. So I feel like for me personally, I personalize into what are the key things that I need to learn and which areas I am looking into. And I try and my best to at least know as much as I can. I need to, it's really eating humble pie here, because you have to know that I don't know. It's so suddenly something new came up and I need to go and learn about it. And I'm trying not to go and waste my time on something that may not be beneficial to me. So I'm looking at personalized learning. So if there's one thing that I want to share today, it's about personalized learning, whether it's today we're talking about ESG, today we're talking about financial literacy. We're narrowing down lines into areas of specialization, and I think that's a fantastic place to start, of being someone that has enough knowledge to at least start something small, and hopefully with more knowledge, it will go bigger.
Okay, so I think I will give a time if I check which technical crew here, if we have any question from participant. Okay, so I think if our speakers can read what mindset shift are necessary to lead effectively in an increasingly complex and uncertain world. So this is the question. Perhaps maybe Dr. Siamo, you want to respond?
Probably been answering that question, all of us, as we've been along. But I suppose the thing for me is that the mindset shouldn't be about putting up defenses. I think my previous speaker said we're not going to win against AI. We certainly are not. So putting up fences and barriers and trying to fence off things is not going to work. We have to be open. We have to get into the ocean and swim and be part of the challenges that we're facing, and not imagine that we're impervious to them or that we can go to some place where they don't apply. So that would be my very quick answer.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have another question from participant? Assalamualaikum. May I ask question? How can leader stay open to new ideas? Maybe Datuk Shakir?
Okay, it's a very interesting question. Well, I mean, to me, we must not talk about I think we must talk about we. It's not about what I can do, what we can do together. Because I always believe that when we do things, if we do on our personal capacity, we can do it alone. If you want to go fast, we go alone.
Yeah.
But if you want to go far, we have to go together. So I believe having that concept in mind, that needs you to listen to people. There must be a technique of hearing and listening. Normally
Yes.
we talk a lot, so we don't allow people to talk. So as a leader, we just have to highlight we are facing the situation here now. Guys, what can you do? What can we do together? All of us here, we are having the situation. And I think this kind of contribution from the members is very important. So now I think we are moving away from authority leadership. We used to have compliance. You must do A, you must do B, you must do C. So we talk about protocols and all that. But I think young generation, they don't like to have all that also. They're talking
Yeah.
about influence. They want to see lead by example so that you are sharing. You show that you care. And then when they talk, you have to listen. And most of the case, they are more relevant than us.
Yeah.
When you talk about AI, about IT, about technology, about all that, I don't mind saying that I don't know much about this. Can you come and tell me what need to be done? I think, I mean, having that, because end of the day, it won't spoil. If you are good, you are good. Nobody can take from you. So when you good means what? Good means you carry with your values, understanding, empathy, and you analyze, you synthesize, you synergize. That's how I look at it. So don't put
Yeah.
barrier to yourself. Open up. Because the
Yeah.
more people talk to you, the more ideas going to be, the more success going to happen.
Yeah. So just to share with you also, after over 30 years in the academic, I also feel that AI may be clever than me when I try to, ask the AI on the certain things. So if we have the another question, okay. A question to our panel. How can leaders keep up with the technological advancement while staying grounded in core values? So maybe who want to respond? Dr. Lauren?
I mentioned this earlier that it's very important for you to remember the ethics behind the use of technology
Yes, yes, yes.
because people just keep on embracing and well because it's exciting, but there comes a point where it's also irritating. I'm sure those of you who have Apple iPhones, sometimes Siri just suddenly enters, something you're typing, right?
Mm.
And you have to keep on editing. So, I did say that the groundedness has to go back to the ethics. I'm sorry, but I have to address an elephant in the room. Okay, no offense intended, but some faculty to churn out more, research. They actually teach the research assistants how to cheap turn it in. Okay, so
Yes.
this is about doing good research. It's not about just simply making money. So when you use technology, you should be using it for good, not for bad things, not for making more money, wantonly, and then forgetting that values should be part of it. So I mentioned data privacy also earlier. They
Mm.
should be maintained. And of course, the professional ethics that are part of any research work, whether it's corporate or school based, there should be the ethics.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we have the last question. The crew, do you have it? Okay. How can leaders deal effectively with stressful situation? So I think it should with you, Dr. Dato, because in the health sector, please.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Few tips that I probably could give that I myself practice, and one of it is setting boundaries. I think we need to be very clear with boundaries on working and your personal life. there's only so much that you can do. I believe you do your best at work and you give it your all with passion and your full commitment. And I think that's good enough. I don't think anyone wants to get you to bend and break your back, in order for you to excel. So, setting boundaries is one. I think the other thing is having a very good support system, whether it's at home or at work. A very good support system actually helps to ease, and you don't have additional worries or burnout when you have a good support system to assist you, whether it's at home or if you have a good team at work. That's really, really helpful. Of course, everyone will tell you about being mentally and emotionally and physically, fit, eating the right thing and exercising and, everything along those lines that, people usually say. Last but not least, I believe they say when you love your job, then you're really not working, isn't it? So I think leading with purpose is something that we need to practice, because believe it or not, many of us are in a place where we are happy to do what we do. Then again, we have people who are not very happy but have to be in that place because they need the income, or they are just stuck there until they're looking for something else better. But nevertheless, I think when you lead with purpose as leaders, you lead with purpose and you stay connected to your values, your mission, your vision, whether it's for the company or yourself, and also you are able to lead with integrity, with honesty, I think things tend to fall into place and you're able to do your work better. So hopefully those little tips help.
Okay, so I think thank you very much for all very invaluable information shared with us today. We come to the end of the talk. So give me 1 minute to just wrap up what we have discussed. First, I think we all agree that leadership is no longer static. It must evolve. The second one is lifelong learning is the foundation for adaptive leadership. And the third one, we are talking about digital. So digital competence is, I think, now become a core leadership skill that we need to proceed. And the last one, in my notes, I state that sustainable success depends on human-centered leadership. So it suits with what Dato' Shakir stressed on this. So with that, I would like to thank Dr. Siamos, Dato' Shakir Hussein, Dr. Lawrence Chua, and also Dato' Nur Alia. And we also, I think, should thanks AKEPT and Usim and also Siamo for allowing us to share our very, I think, valuable information with participants. So with that, again, thanks to all crew that involved, and I pass back to you, Dr. Nohidaya.
All right, so thank you so much to our moderator, Professor Datuk Dr. Zulkifli. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our webinar for today. So many thanks to our moderator, Professor Datuk Dr. Zulkifli, our distinguished panelists, Dr. Seamus from Ireland, Datuk Dr. Shakir from Malaysia, Dr. Loreen from the Philippines, and Datuk Nur Alia from Malaysia. Now, just a short reminder to our viewers, now please fill in our forms. We do have a registration form and a feedback form. The links for both forms are already up in the chat, so please fill in both forms if you want the certificates of attendance. So if you do want the certificates, find the links for both of our forms, the registration form and the feedback form, and then we'll get back to you pretty soon. So as we draw today's inspiring discussion to a close, let us carry forward this reminder by Max McEwen. Adaptability is about the powerful difference between adapting to cope and adapting to win. In a world that is constantly evolving, our adaptability, our curiosity, and our lifelong commitment to learning is what will lead us to sustainable success. Thank you once again on behalf of AKEPT, USIM, and Samia Righthead. Thank you so much to all of our distinguished panelists and all of you, members of our global academic community, for sharing your time and energy with us today. Stay curious, stay adaptive, and most importantly, keep learning. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care and see you in our next session. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. That was so amazing. That was so amazing. That was such an amazing talk. So it was really awesome to hear from all of you.
Thank you for the good hosting.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. That really means a lot to me. I really mean that. Thank you so much. So yeah, so that is it for us. So I don't know if you want to debrief or anything like that. I think that was great. So you guys have anything you want to like say or before we leave? Anything like that?
Thank you, I suppose, for being given the opportunity to be part of such a great panel. It was really great to listen to my colleagues. All of them had such interesting things to say. It was really, really, really good.